From the mean streets of Essex, England, broadcasting around the world, this is Whatcast.
Yes, this is Whatcast. This is Matt here. You probably know that if you're listening to this show. This week, well, today, because Sunday we ain't got a show because it's Patreon week this week. www.patreon.com/Whatcast with a K. This week I'm going to be talking on this Today show, not Sunday, because Sunday's the Patreon show, about, I've got a What of the Week about Ronald Mcdonald. This is quite spooky. October is a spooky month. This is a spooky reason why Ronald Mcdonald got phased out by the Donalds of Mac. All right. This is from Ladbob. I'll be getting to this pretty soon. Imminently, in fact. I've also got a little bit about the Patreon special. Got a little clip to play for that. It's only a minute long or whatever. Also got to talk about some random shit that's been going on this week. Oh, and also regarding the Halloween recording that we did the other day, that's going out Sunday, patreon.com/Whatcast. But don't worry about it. If you don't want to go to Patreon, we have also got another Halloween show coming out next week. With some guests. We've got a handful of guests on that show with some spooky experiences and whatnot, but we're doing an actual investigation on the Patreon one of 30 East Drive, but I'll be talking about that a little bit later. I don't know whether to start with that or not. Right, let's, first of all, before we get anywhere, I want to ask a question to people, right? I went to work the other day. I got a little bit of swig of raspberry, whatever the hell this is, drink red, looks a bit spooky. I went to work the other morning. I work very, very early. And I went to work the other morning, and as I'm driving out of my turn-in, I thought, what is this odd animal crossing the road? I thought, what is this odd animal crossing the road in front of me, running across? And a long-faced prick it was, like this big thing poking out. It was a badger. Now, I'm a middle-aged man in the K of you, and that is the first time in my entire life I've ever seen a badger. I've seen a badger this time, and I thought, could it be, do they even exist, these things? But apparently it does in this country, and I saw that, and I thought, that's a bit fucking weird. So I was wondering, does anybody ever see these fuckers anywhere? Or was this my imagination? Was I still tired? Was I still half asleep? It had like a long stripy face sticking out, run across the road, bit of a weird run, to be honest. Like you'd think that there's a bit of a shit animal as it comes across the road here. But I see it and I thought, first of all, because I get a lot of foxes run out. I see foxes all the time, as we might know from the sounds they make when I've seen them in the past. The polar fox, right? I thought that's definitely not that. It's running weird, and it was a badger. And I don't live in a particularly rural area, like not at all. In fact, not particularly. It's definitely not rural. It's a town. So I don't know, but maybe you've seen a badger in your area. You see lots of them. Let me know about it, because my son said to me that they're not even native to this country, and then I looked up and they absolutely are. But they're not, it's that they live in sets or something. But it's just weird. I just found it a strange thing, and I thought I'd give it a mention. Let's get on with a What of the Week anyway. What? Talking about all that bollocks. So this is about Ronald Mcdonald, yeah? So the headline, this is from the Lad Bible, and their headline goes, and this is like people associate clowns with, spooky things. All right? And Ronald Mcdonald, when I was a kid, used to freak me the fuck out. I won't lie to you. If you're a long-term listener, freak me out more than Candy Floss does, right? I hated this fucking thing. And I don't like clowns in general, but I don't have a phobia about clowns. I think they're twats. But this clown, because of the red hair and the weird face and the food that literally, isn't the best, then I was always a little bit, less... I liked Ronald McDonald. Do you remember, because they used to have the other, back in the day, you used to collect cars and shit from McDonald's, didn't you? Like, so you'd have like, a car with a character. There was all different McDonald's characters sticking out of the top of the car. You get them with your food. And it'd be Ronald McDonald sticking out. I never wanted Ronald McDonald. They had the Hamburglar sticking out. And Big Mac. Someone called Big Mac. Like, just had a burger for a head. And the Hamburglar had, like, a mask on. Looked like some sort of a fucking burglar or something. Obviously, the Hamburglar. It's too much to figure that out, right? But they used to pull them back and they'd race. I had these cars when I was a kid. And there was lots of Ronald McDonald merchandise and stuff. And people used to dress up as Ronald McDonald. You did certain McDonald's come out if you had a kid's party and Ronald's here, blah, blah, blah. And all this sort of stuff. And I always hated it. Always hated Ronald McDonald. Thought he looked like a freak. But here he is. That looks like that thing there looks like the car I'm talking about. Like if you're looking at this on the screen, but I've got a picture up of Ronald's face from the advert. Oh my God, does he look like a fucking creepy weirdo? And a toy of Ronald, but that could just be a thing outside one of the McDonald's or whatever. So anyway, Ronald McDonald, I'm reading the article out now, right? So it says here, Ronald McDonald was the red and yellow icon of the fast food world. That was Hulk Hogan, wasn't it, I thought? Until his epic fall from grace. Yes, this is not me saying this, right? Yes, we know it was just a bloke in white face paint and poorly fitting canary yellow jumpsuit, but he was a legend all the same. I don't know about legend, freak, in other words. Right, and then they've got a video there of Ronald McDonald storming into a shop or whatever. McDonald's infamous mascot either frightened the life out of you or made you squeal with glee. I don't know anyone that likes Ronald McDonald. Like, that's just in my experience, in my life. I don't know anybody that liked this fucking thing. Yeah, nobody I ever knew ever liked him. There was no in between. Yeah, I didn't know anyone that thought he was good. Right, as the face of the world's largest fast food chains, one of the world's, Ronald became a celebrity in his own right. He didn't because he wasn't a real person. He was just it was like saying Santa became a legend. But like any international superstar, he couldn't escape controversy, whichever way you want to say it. Controversy. What do we reckon, Nath?
Sounds like cognitive dissonance to me, mate.
Exactly.
Violated by gas.
You can fuck off, as far as I'm concerned. But like any international superstar, he couldn't escape controversy. I'll say it that way. Which is why McDonald's decided to slowly phase out the red wigged wearing clown back in 2016.
You unbelievable clown.
Despite him being firmly ingrained in the DNA of the company, bosses were forced to gradually distance themselves from Ronald for a disturbing reason. This ain't going to be the reason you probably think, to be honest, but there's loads of adverts popping up. There he is. Look at his face. Oh my word, what a freak. It was the hair, I think. Because clowns wear like curly wigs and stuff. Ronald had like a bouffon hairdo. Like it's all brushed back like perfectly, but bright red. I mean, a lot of women have this colour hair now. But he looks like it's so unnerving looking at Ronald and his ridiculous makeup. He looks like such a fucking dickhead, to be honest. If you cast your mind back to 7 years ago, this is this week's article, by the way. So when they say 7 years, it actually does mean that for it isn't
fake news.
If you cast your mind back to 7 years ago, you might remember a bizarre trend that was sweeping the globe. And I'm not talking about the mannequin challenge or campaigning for justice for Harambe, or whatever his name was, the gorilla. Now, you remember all that shit? I do. You may recall when the world briefly went mad and killer clowns began running amok around the time of August 2016. I do remember this. There was clowns, people sharing videos of clowns everywhere on the line of On, right? And clowns jumping out on people, and then there was them other ones. There was people like with a mallet, a clown with a mallet, and he'd like hit a mannequin or something, and all this fake blood would shoot out and like it'd be in front of other people, so they'd shit, oh my god, he's just murdered that person, but it wasn't a real person. Had like a clown's comedy mallet, and it was like bashing people with it. People began sporting terrifying clown costumes and sharing their spooky snaps online to promote a horror movie which was due to drop 2 years later. Why were they promoting a horror movie that wasn't out for 2 years?
That's what's happening.
But the craze created mass hysteria rather than hype for the film, as obviously some took it too far. It began in the US state of Wisconsin, and soon clown copycats from around the world began cropping up. What originally started as a bit of harmless fun turns into a real-life horror story when the clown's craze took a dangerous turn. What happened? Let's read on. A family in Florida was attacked by a group of 20 people wearing clown masks. The Sun also reported a person in a clown mask who allegedly pulled out a knife and started running after a boy on his way to school. And this shit did happen. Police were inundated with calls reported that the people were being tormented by the creepy circus performers. They weren't circus performers. They were bellends dressed as circus performers.
Like gas?
No, not like gas. The children's charity Childline recorded a total of 120 calls from terrified kids in 2016. Wow. Oh, there he is again. The weirdo that looks like an inflatable Ronald there. Although the idiots trolling the streets in cheap costumes, how do you know that they didn't spend a fortune on these costumes? You don't know, do you? It's a bit harsh to say, oh, they're in shape. Your costumes are even cheap. Like that matters. They didn't dress up as Ronald. They ended up giving all clowns a bad name.
You unbelievable clown.
McDonald's released a statement at the time, which read, I'll do it in the McDonald's voice that they might do, the American. McDonald's and franchisees in the local markets are mindful of the current climate around clown sightings in communities, and as such are being thoughtful in respect to Ronald McDonald's participation in community events for the time being. So that's exactly how they made their statement, right? A statement from the UK McDonald's website also said, all right, mate, we're afraid that Ronald McDonald no longer appears in the McDonald's UK advertising, but he's still very busy working for us. He often travels up and down the country to help promote some of our exciting new activities and visits our restaurants to make sure everyone's enjoying their meals. That's what the UK bloke said. The Mackey's clown still remains in some restaurants around the world, but stays in the shadows for the most part.
Don't affect my wages.
Exactly. Willard Scott, who sadly passed away in 2021 at the age of 87, was the original portrayer of the McDonald mascot. That's the bloke I was probably looking at with the Bouffant hairdo and the weird face. Good innings, though, 87. As Ronald, he featured in commercials and in marketing imagery from the character's first appearance in 1963 to the early 70s. Oh, my word. I think that's the end of the... that's the end of the article, I think. Yeah, so they dropped Ronald McDonald. Let's bring him back up again. There he is. They dropped Ronald McDonald because the clown stuff that was going on a few years ago. So people started doing these. That gave all clowns a bad name because they started chasing people around the streets. They weren't even Halloween time. I don't know what was really going on with this, the clown stuff, but that is the reason why they dropped Ronald McDonald from all of this, right? So if you didn't know that, now you do know that. Bit of a shit story, to be honest with you. But if you wondered, if you was ever someone that did wonder, where the fuck's Ronald McDonald gone? I ain't seen him for a while. Now you know, right? If that's the thing you was never wondering about, but now you've been informed. Right, so moving on then. We're going to be talking a little bit about, we've got a Halloween show coming up, will be coming up on Whatcast here. On the 29th, I believe, right? I've recorded a couple of clips for it, a couple of little interviews. There's a lady called Azra, who's from Zimbabwe. He's got some kind of like dark, real-life spooky happenings that have happened in her life. Also got a young lady by the name of Lucy that's from up north in the UK with some a strange murderous house that's quite near her and some things that have happened there. And we're looking to get more guests on. So we're going to have some a guest orientated show. People sharing their ghost stories. That's coming out. A spooky show coming out on Sunday the 29th. But also, obviously, we've got a Patreon Halloween special, which is a deep dive into the 30 East Drive, the Black Monk of Pontifract. That show is going out this Sunday, the 22nd, I believe it is. And I've got a little tiny clip to play for you here about myself and Paranormal Lee. And then once I've played you this clip, I'll tell you about my week since we made this show, which is quite strange in itself. But let's have a quick listen here. Hopefully that you can hear this, right? Because we've been having problems, and I'll explain more after.
Dead men tell no
It
tales.
is Halloween month, and this is the Patreon special. So we're going to be doing 30 East Drive, the Black Monk of Pontifract. Right, so there's the best picture apparently that anyone's ever taken. That just, you know what that looks like to me? A tenner. Yeah, it doesn't look like a black monk, does it?
No, it doesn't.
But this is so for those people just listening to this, it's like some really dodgy old wallpaper and a mirror on the wall. And there's a figure in the mirror. And it supposedly proves the Black Monk of Pontefract haunts this house. So she's saying she's scared. So they put these balls on the floor, right? So they're saying the camera's caught this. So they put a load of ping pong balls in the bedroom, and they're moving. Right? You see that?
Yeah. See, that's fucking strange.
So I don't know how they would get that to do that.
Yeah. I
So
don't.
there's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 balls there. And they're all kind of moving individually in different directions. There you go. Very short little clip there. I didn't want to clip together loads of bits there. Just wanted to give you a kind of an idea of what we're actually doing on that show. And so if you're not watching this, if you're just listening to this as a podcast, that was a little clip of, we were showing some clips that people have filmed in the house over the years, the house that we were talking about. We described all about the house. We went deep into the story behind the house, and then we started showing evidence of stuff that was happening in this house, especially from Most Haunted, the TV show that's quite popular here in the UK. And They done a big special on it a few Halloweens ago where they was recording and things were happening. Also, like, I've spoken to people that have actually slept at this house because it's become a place where you can actually spend the night there for a fee, obviously. And people do report lots of goings on there. So yeah, that was a bit weird. But anyway, whilst we were recording this show, and I've done it, people that are on the Patreon, you'd have sort of already heard this, but there's more to what I told you on there. Things have happened since, right? So I'll start at the beginning. When I was recording that show, I always have a setup that I do. So I record on the video with audio, but the audio is decent on there. But the audio is better, much better on my soundbox. On my, it's literally a mixer, soundboard, etc. It's all in one. This thing that I use here, Rodecaster Pro, it's called. And I always hit record on there to get the audio to spit the podcast out, and I always hit record it on the online studio that I use, because that records video and audio. And then I can repurpose that onto, Rumble, YouTube, and, in the case of the Patreon, we always put the shows up there in video as well as audio. Some people, everyone's got different preferences. So I hit record simultaneously all the time, hit the intro, get on with the show, right? I did that. I always do it. I had everything prepped up like I normally do, ready to go. Noticed 10 minutes into the recording, things was playing up a bit weird. I kept having to click things out and adjust stuff on the fly and try and just make it as seamless as I can. I've been doing this quite a long time, so it's a bit challenging, but I kind of knew what I was doing. Then I looked down and noticed it wasn't recording on the soundboard. This has never happened before. I thought, do I start again or do I continue? So I was kind of like thinking on my feet while we were doing the show, what should I do? I mentioned it to Lee, and I just decided to carry on because I realised I can rip the audio from this is all technical stuff, but there is a point to me telling you all this. I can rip the audio from the MP4, which is the video version that I was recording, and just take it's decent audio. I can put it out. It isn't what I'd like because I'm a perfectionist with the audio as best I can be, but, I thought it's not going to... Only people like me would notice it if it wasn't perfect. It's still the same, right? Anyway, so I decided to just continue with the recording. Then we got to the bit we discussed the case, the case of this this phenomena, and we got to the video evidence, etc., to discuss on the Patreon show, which we normally do with the patrons. It's no deep dives. We normally have lots of video clips to show that we sit and discuss and watch along with, you know, people that want to watch along with the videos if they click onto the Patreon website rather than listen on the Spotify, which a lot of people like to listen. Anyway, doesn't matter. The video is up there for people that want to watch. So we put the video up, and Lee had no sound. Like, even though the sound's coming through in my ears, there was no sound for Lee. And no matter what I did with these two specific clips of this part 1 and part 2 of the most haunted 30 East Drive show that I'm trying to talk, because I've bullet pointed everything, I've wrote everything down, planned it all, and now there's no audio, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Is it Lee? Is it me? And I knew if Lee didn't have the audio, the listeners wouldn't have the audio. Because I'm only recording on the screen, so I can't get the audio because the sound box isn't recording. It's gone off, right? So, which has never happened before. So there's no way I can get this audio. So I thought, all right, I'll just talk through it myself and make sure that everybody knows what's going on, because they'll still be able to watch along with it. Then it stopped playing. It was paused on the screen. It was playing to me, but on the screen that everyone else can see, including Lee, because he's, you know, remote, he's away, he's not here. Which is just as well, because if he was here, it would have been a disaster, because I wouldn't have known any of this stuff. He said it's not playing, it's frozen. So I'm like, why is that frozen? We're not frozen. There's no reason for the screen to be frozen. Why is the YouTube bit frozen? It doesn't make any sense, right? So I've had to go back to start again. It got it playing. Still no audio though. So we've done it anyway. I'm talking through it, etc., etc., etc. It's a bit of a challenge, but we got through it. It's actually okay. It would have been better with audio, but it is what it is. It's all we could do. It's just a glitch. I then said there's some debunking videos, a couple of other little clips that I'd set up. I played them. Audio. It worked. Coming from YouTube, exactly the same thing, but no problem, because it's not presenting the case, it's presenting debunking. I don't know why, but suddenly there's audio. And that's just like, this is a bit strange, right? So it was very weird. We continued on, didn't realise the other glitches that were happening at this time, because everything was fine in my ears. And then I said goodbye to Lee, blah, blah, blah. We finished the show, said goodbye, clicked off. I went into post-production, which is what I always do. Straight away, I'll do as best a job as I can to make sure it all sounds good and whatever. And all of the sounds. So, like, you know, not so much this, not so much the words, but if I was to play this, for instance, Hamish was to turn up, which I did play, right? So if I was to play things like that, comes in and out of audio. In my ears, it was working, but on the recording, so that means the soundboard was playing up as well as the online studio. Two things that never let me down, simultaneously letting me down at the same recording. Weird as fuck, right? And you'll hear this when you listen to it. If you're on the Patreon, you listen to it, you'll notice there's clips and I'm going, yes, and then Hamish turns up, and I press it and you can't hear nothing. You can hear it attempting coming in. In my ears, it was booming out like it just was there. But not for Lee. He didn't know what was going on. The recording didn't pick it up. I don't know why that was glitching out. It was very, very strange. I thought, whatever, skeptical, it doesn't matter, etc. I've done the best I can. I've put out disclaimers telling people that we've got audio problems on it. So don't think that it's you. It's me. It's my mistakes. Glitches. I then came on the following day. I've been doing a few TikTok lives just trying to get guests for the Halloween show that I was talking about a bit earlier. I got a couple of people that I've got in touch with on there that kind of got to know the show and me and the topics that we do. And there's a few people on there that consider themselves, again, skeptical for me, but they consider themselves in touch with the spirituality and this sort of shit, right? They say, ain't ghosts, it's spirits, all this sort of twaddle they tell me. And one of them randomly said to me, without knowing anything, because I hadn't put it out other than on Patreon, and they're not on there, are you having any electrical problems since you did this topic? And I said, well, I had glitches on the show, blah, 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 blah. And then I start being sarcastic, fuck off, ghost, and all this sort of bollocks. And then her and some other lady, the lady from Zimbabwe that was on the live, said, don't be sarcastic, don't mock. It will irritate and it will ramp up. You may have an attachment. You may have brought something out. You may have spoke about something. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is this shit? Like that? To me, this is all bollocks, right? Which is what I said. Then I finished up what I was doing, went downstairs, and there was the loudest buzzing coming from the corner of my dining room downstairs, in the corner. There's no electrics there. There's nothing outside. There's nothing. It was just a random electrical sound buzzing. My son heard it. He was as confused as me. And we didn't know what it was. And it was going on for some time. It was right after I had that conversation. Again, put it to the back of my mind. The next day, I was very tired. I'm having a bit of a shitty time health-wise and other shit going on in my life. So I'm just trying to catch sleep whenever I can. And I was laying on the sofa asleep. Suddenly, randomly got this weird feeling of weirdness that kind of woke me up like there was a presence near me or something. That sounds really fucking strange. Don't get me wrong. I say it, and in my head, I'm saying
No, mate.
to myself, right? And then just seconds after I woke up, the Xbox switches on, right? The Xbox on the floor in the living room. Nobody's anywhere near it. Nobody's in but me. The handheld controller is underneath the TV in a little box, in a little thing. Not anyone's near it. The cat is around, but the cat's asleep the other side of the house. There's no movement whatsoever. This has turned on itself. And I'm like, okay, this is too many weird things. Now, saying that, since then, nothing's happened. It's been a couple of days since then. Nothing else to my knowledge has happened. I'm getting weird headaches and shit, though. But anyway, I don't know about that. But anyway, what do you make of this? Do you have anything like this? Has any electrical things happened to you? Let me know. It might be too late. But if you get in touch with me in the next couple of days, might be able to get you on the Halloween show to share your experiences. We've got someone lined up to record with this weekend. Hopefully that all works out. If not, then I'll figure something else out. But just thought I'd share that experience with you. If you wanted to listen to the show, obviously go on Spotify. It's Whatcast Patreon. You can sign in through there and subscribe, or you can jump onto patreon.com/Whatcast with a K, obviously, and subscribe that way. And you get, not only that, you get all your deep dives and everything else, all your videos and everything else for hundreds and hundreds of shows. Anyway, this week, there's a couple of stupid stories in there just to get before we get out of here. I'm inundated at work with moths. Now, I don't want to go into what I do for a living and stuff, but bear in mind it's not something that usually involves insects flying around, but they're inundated with moths. And I've never killed so many moths. Maybe I'm being haunted by moths. Violated by moths, do you reckon, Knife? I don't know. Do you reckon I'm being
Violated by gas?
or moths? Could be.
It is cognitive dissonance.
There's a lay for that. You know moths, when you see, does anybody like moths? Because everyone likes butterflies, don't they? Everyone likes butterflies, but no one likes moths. Moths are like disabled butterflies. Like butterflies are all pretty and they flow through the air and they look all good and like they land all daintily. Moths just crash into it. They just fucking flap around like they've got no idea which direction they're going in. And they just flop about and crash into walls. Like they're just almost like they're trying to commit suicide all the time. These things, right? But there's been so many of them. And I looked up what species they were, and they are apparently called exotic. No, hang on, is it exotic? Tropical warehouse moths, they're called. Right? You tell me. Nothing tropical. These are the greyest, dullest looking things. And when you squash them, they literally become dust. That's what look, they just dust in your hand. And I must have killed hundreds of them this week. I don't know where they're all coming from. Get a kill out. That's what I'll say. But apparently it's being dealt with now. But I've been attacked by moths all week. I don't know whether moths are they a paranormal thing as well.
Gas go down, go boom, boom, my friend.
Exactly, Nathan. Thanks for your insight. While I'm talking about work really quickly, this is a bit of an irrelevant story, but it's one I've it's not really a story. It's more of a funny scenario. So there's, like I got so at my work, right? Well, she's sort of friendly with two other people. Like she's friendly with someone else, but she's sort of friendly with two other people that work there. One of them we call her Gruffalo Jill. Because, the Gruffalo, like if you've ever had kids or read a kid book, the Gruffalo, she looks like that. Like she looks just like that. Like it isn't like a bit mean. She looks like the Gruffalo. She is enormous, warty face, teeth sticking out everywhere, strange looking of it, like, just a complete mess, basically. But Gruffalo Jill is friends with someone I call Deaf Aid. Right, because Deaf Aid, and the reason I call her Deaf Aid is because she's got a hearing aid, which is, I'm not laughing at disabilities or nothing. But she's got a hearing aid, but that isn't the funny thing about her. The funny thing about Deaf Aid is that she's about probably 1'1". Like she is the tiniest person I've ever seen, to the point that her Deaf Aid is bigger than her. So Deaf Aid's walking around. She's got this enormous Deaf Aid on, and it's like she's being weighed down by her Deaf Aid because she's tiny, and the Gruffalo is her mate. Gruffalo is if you've ever seen the book The Gruffalo, right, and the Gruffalo's scared of the mouse in the end, like the mouse and the Gruffalo talk. This is what it looks like. The Gruffalo are next to the Deaf Aid mouse. And I went to school with Deaf Aid, so I know her quite well. Didn't speak to her at school, but she was in a lot of my classes. But the Deaf Aid didn't seem to be bigger than her at school. So I don't know if she shrunk since school. I don't know, right? But anyway, I couldn't help but think, because the Gruffalo the other week, so Sue come up to me and she went, "Did you hear about the Gruffalo?" So I goes, "Well, what's she done now, the Gruff?" So she goes, "She went home the other day because she shit herself." Right?
It is cognitive dissonance.
It is, right? So that was her reason. She went home ill. She told the management that she'd shit herself. And it got me thinking, imagine if she shit herself whilst walking along with Deaf Aid. I bet the Gruffalo shit is bigger than Deaf Aid. That's where my mind went with this. Right? I thought if she took a dump, Deaf Aid would get buried in it. Like all you would see is the Deaf Aid sticking out. Like you wouldn't see the body at all. But yeah. I don't know why I felt the need to share that, to be honest with you. It just made me laugh, so I thought I might. But that's what I said. So do you knock about with Deaf Aid? Because So used to be mates with Deaf Aid, not the Gruffalo, but she was mates with Deaf Aid. Her and her mate was mates with Deaf Aid, but they didn't want to keep getting an extra bed when they went on holiday. Like they get one room, a twin room, but because they have to keep getting an extra room and they all had to pay more to take Deaf Aid. I don't know why. Just stick Deaf Aid in your suitcase and take her. You've got to put a Deaf Aid somewhere, haven't you? She's got like a 6-foot Deaf Aid. A Deaf Aid. Like she's tiny, but anyway, don't worry. I can't talk about it no more.
So what are you babbling about?
Right. So anyway, that is the show this week. So thanks for listening this week. There won't be a show on Sunday, obviously, but there will be on the Patreon. There will be this spooky, weird, fucked up show, the most fucked up, weird show that I've ever done. But before I go here, Ronald Mcdonald,
You just made the list.
exactly. Deaf Aid,
You just made the list.
Gruffalo Jill,
You just made the list.
on there. Gary,
You just made the list.
that shit poem. Right, anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching if you're watching. if you're watching, didn't hear Gary's poem because it won't be on there. Anyway, that's the perks of listening, people. See you all later. See you we'll see you Sunday for the Patreon show, and if not, we'll see you next Sunday for the Halloween special on Whatcast. Adios for now.
You have been listening to Whatcast. Follow and contact us on the Twitter, the Book of Face, and the Gram of Insta at Whatcast with a K.